So that was a tough watch. I just got finished rewatching the All 22 from Lions Vikings, and there's a lot of things to discuss after this game. And I really want to focus on maybe adjustments that need to be made going forward. What in the world just happened by highlighting some of the key defensive and offensive plays that weren't great. There is some good in here, but there's a lot. So I'm really going to try to highlight some of the issues that stood out to me from watching this game back, and also maybe where priorities should be set as we enter this year's NFL trade deadline, because I think some of them changed. And I guess we'll just start right there real quick just to kind of get us going. And that starts with the defensive backs. I think the cornerback room played really well in this game. The secondary played really well. And for a while there's the trade deadline, there's a lot of discussion because of injuries about secondary and needing to address that. After this game and after last week against Tampa Bay, I don't think that's a top priority for the Lions. Can they do it? Sure, but I don't think it's a top priority. I think the secondary was arguably the biggest strength for the Lions in this game. It's not to say they were flawless. They gave up some things. Arthur Maulet, of course, in some two tough spots. You know, they had him on the deep corner route early in this game on a big third down, have to have it, man-to-man coverage. And, of course, to end the game, they hit him on the wheel route, again, in man-to-man coverage there. But that said, outside of a couple of those plays, and obviously Terrion, gave up a little bit at times. Sometimes it was inverted, so he gave up some things underneath. But for the most part, I was very pleased with how they played in the secondary. Communication was strong in the red zone. Linebackers continue to give us good support. Really, the best sequence the Lions had defensively was sitting in a lot of cover one defense. And it was surprising, but it was their best sequences they had defensively. So for me, I don't think that can be the top priority for the Lions as they enter this year's trade deadline. Like, you can address it if something makes sense, but at this point I was very pleased with how that performed, which is important because the Lions have other things that they may need to address. So I thought I'd at least start with that. Now let's start with some good and bad here offensively. First off, the run game was nowhere near as successful as I thought it would be in this game, and one thing that we lacked was explosives. We didn't have any big plays in the ground game. We had some negatives, which was expected. We didn't have any big plays in the ground game. The one play that looked like it was going to be a big play, we fumbled on. And this first one here, I think, is a great example of, man, it's in our hands. What are we doing offensively? Here, Tate Ratledge sets the combo block with Graham, never climbs to the second level to pick up the backer, and it forces us to immediately cut the ball back with Jahmyr Gibbs. This is something that's easily fixable, but it's something on our end. This is in our control. Now, look, I think the athleticism for Minnesota clearly gave the Lions problems in this game, which is why I thought there would be some negatives, but we weren't able to take advantage of creating big plays off of this. And even when we created big-time movement, it was one guy who had a messy block or the way that we hit the hole or whatever it may be, and we'll get to those, that just didn't allow it to happen. And in this case, we're just not climbing up to the next level. It's messy. I don't know what we're doing here. Staying on the offense line, and of course, hoping for Christian Mahogany that he is okay. This is just not great. Pass pro was a very big issue for him in this game. I thought he did some good when he ran behind him, which we talked about coming out of the bye week, and I thought he created some good movement, pushed guys off their spot a few times. But in pass protection, not perfect, right? And there was some really just communication breakdowns, which will show. Some of it also was we just lost one-on-one. This is an example of a poor ability to pick up a stunt on the inside with Mahogany. So Mahogany, we know it's a significant injury. I do think for the Lions here, when you're setting priorities, if you're going to look at multiple positions or you just want to start ranking them, in my opinion, offensive line has to be above cornerback at this point. It has to be. Now, could you consider safety? Potentially rumors about that with Thomas Harper that, maybe that's something that they're thinking about because of Kirby Joseph's injury. There was some issues there that I had with Harper, but for the most part, I think it was okay. I would prioritize offensive line. It's difficult to get those guys. I would be making a call for Kevin Zeitler once again today. I'd be making a call to Tennessee and just see what it costs. Now, you might have to move Tate, but Tate didn't play poorly in this last game. There were some things like that first play we showed that were like, oh, that's not great. And there was some ugly refs, but man, it wasn't that bad. Now, we didn't run behind him a ton in this game, but for me, and I think they tried to lean on Mahogany in this game, I think you have to make a call for Zeitler just to see what it would cost from Tennessee on the final year of his contract to bring him in. I think Jackson Powers-Johnson is a worthy call as well from the Raiders because he didn't play this past week. He was benched. You may be able to get him for essentially nothing, and it could help out long-term too. The problem with that is I don't see the Lions like replacing Graham Glasgow and putting him at center. They could have that competition. I just don't see them doing that at this point. We know there's some limitations with Graham. Have some losses, and he did. He had multiple losses in this game one-on-one. But I don't know that they'll do that. They've been playing him at guard. I think he's better center, Jax Powers-Johnson is, but at least it gives you some flexibility. So I'd consider that move as well, but I would definitely make a call to Tennessee to just see what it would cost for Kevin Zeitler. But now we'll go to a good play because there are a few good plays, and this is the first touchdown we had. It's a Tampa 2 they got into. They rolled from like a cover 3 look, and this is one of the best reads I thought Goff had at the game. There was a stretch there where I was like, I don't think Goff is seeing the field well, and then he bounced back and he saw it well. This was a great play to get things started. It was a 4th and 4. Obviously, still not a spot that we want to be in. That blown block stunt leads to some pressure. Now we're throwing it to nobody. Now it's the 4th down and 5, which was on a 3rd down and 5 to play before. And the play before that, try to hit J-Mo on kind of like a deep comeback route. But on that play, they go cover 3, they blitz 6. I think that's one of the adjustments that Dan talked about. They're kind of breaking tendencies a bit. They went a lot more cover 3 in this game than I had seen, a lot more of that, and they were willing to be very aggressive out of it, which I think was smart. I think when they weren't aggressive, they got into trouble. So it was smart. They attacked us. But that led to this situation. But still, this was a great play by Goff here. This is a really good read for him to hit the seam here to Laporta, pull it away from the safety. So that was one of the positives that we had to get things started. Defensively, we went down, allowed a touchdown on that first drive. Again, I was pretty pleased with the defense, specifically in coverage in this game and watching the game back. But what set up this drive was a big kickoff return set up by a 3rd down. They end up picking up that cover 0 look we go into, and they just hit a quick screen to the receiver, and he runs for the first down. That was obvious. I think maybe Terrion could have closed a lot faster, but we were showing cover 0. JJ checked. We didn't do anything, and he just threw a screen. That was just too easy defensively. But ultimately that is one where I think Terrion maybe could have dove on it a little bit faster to try to make that play before it gets started. But he allowed it to get started, and it picked up the first down. And then, of course, they scored. And even on those plays that they made, like that JJ play to the end zone to Justin Jefferson, it was a great throw, but it wasn't bad coverage either. It was just he made a heck of a play. And I actually think Amik bounced back. Like, Amik was battling. We saw that clip where he was kind of like arguing with Justin Jefferson. Well, that's because he had a really good coverage route to play before. I mean, he covered him on a whip route. Outstanding. Blown assignments up front. Here we go. This time it's linebacker. They're using that athleticism. We knew that this was something that's, hey, if you can go after linebackers, that's great because you'll move them. But they are athletic and they can create negatives. Well, here, Graham Glasgow, they cross his face, so we don't really get an opportunity to go that way. So it immediately forces the bounce from Dave Montgomery. And you can see they were doing a lot of this cross blitzing, both backers, and it was giving us a lot of trouble in pass protection. Here, I guess, even against the run, it forces the bounce, and it limits this as Monty just gets tripped up by a touch here, and it limits it to a short gain on the play of 2 yards. So, again, it's little things at times where you were close and you just couldn't get anything going in the run game. I think Sione Vaki has to start getting looks at running back. Obviously, I'm a big Vaki guy, so that may seem like biased or whatever. But the point is, I don't think Montgomery's rushing. I don't think Montgomery's playing well enough right now consistently. Obviously, the fumble was a big part of that. Pass protection has been. This one Sunday is like a normal Sunday for all NFL fans. And there is this one app that rules them all. And its name is MyBookie. But today was different. Today, no NFL fans were in their seats. All living rooms were empty. Well, not totally. There was one NFL fan there, and his name was Dose. He was there to remind you. If you are new to MyBookie, use our code, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your Bet Back bonus token. He was the only one there. Because at 12:59 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, every other fan stood up off their seat, walked downstairs, opened their front door, and ran for MyBookie. For survivor pools, same-game parlays, prop bets, and in-game lines. And with MyBookie, there was no better place to play. No one ever missed another opportunity to get in on the action. Football's back. Let's make some money with MyBookie. He did step in this game and settle in late, but Gibbs has felt like our better pass protector at running back. I just think at this point, you got to give Vaki some looks at running back and see if he can give you a spark in the run game. I know he hasn't been there for practice, so maybe that hurts you with him missing time with injury. That's where I'm at with it. I think he's worth getting some touches at this point. Some of these adjustments are what do you have on your roster. The other adjustment, Tyleek needs to get some looks. Ali McNeil played 51 snaps in this game, and I didn't think he looked that great for most of it. Now, look, he's coming off a very significant injury, so that's fair. But you have Tyleek playing 11 snaps. I think that needs to change. I think you got to crank up Tyleek Williams, lower down what Aleem's doing as he kind of continues to work back in and go forward like that until Aleem, is more Aleem's self. I understand leaning on Aleem with what you paid him. He's your guy, and I believe in him too, but this wasn't good enough. And I think Tyleek showed some really good in this game. You got to get him more than 11 snaps. And this is the biggest issue we had in pass pro. Now, the positive is towards the end of the game, we did settle into doing this better. But there's like 3 or 4 plays where it's like, dude, I have no idea what we're doing in pass protection. And so much of this was just communication. It was just we don't even have a body assigned to the players up front. And they played the 7-man fronts. We'd have 6 guys essentially that could help us when you tack on the running back. So there's we didn't have the bodies for some of this all the time. Sometimes we just let it happen. In cover 3 blitz, they end up running. Again, they have Harrison Smith walking up. He was the problem. He rushes off the end here, and then they're going to show Metellus, and they're going to drop him. They did this later in the game, gave us the same problem. So you have Montgomery step in, take Metellus. Now, I'll give Gibbs credit later in the game. They ran a cover 0 look, I believe it was. They brought 7, same kind of way. And Gibbs, he stepped in to take the backer, which is, or in this case, Metellus, which was, assigned by Goff. But then he retreated and he got a big hit on Harrison Smith. And if Goff would have just trusted it to slide a little more, he actually could have gotten a pass off on that play because of what Gibbs' effort was. So I do appreciate that from Gibbs. But here, we just leave the safety completely unblocked, and it just kills us. We have no shot on a play like this. And look, they have a lot of late movement, so Harrison Smith would start a little back, then he'd walk up and go. And he didn't know who was coming every play. But the fact that we just don't have the bodies for this is a problem. I think later in the game, we did a nice job of getting both tight ends in. We would bring both tight ends in off the line. Hey, they're showing it. Great, we're going to have 7 guys here that can block. And then you can chip and release out. Yes, we're losing guys, but man, this is not okay. Like, maybe we got to get our receivers more involved. Hey, bring him in, condense it, put him at the line. He's going to stay in and chip block before he goes. At least slow this down, because early, we're not slowing anything down here. We're just letting it happen. And in this case, you're letting it happen here on a 3rd down and 10. You have a route that's going to be open to Sam Laporta, but you have too many guys in the route combination for what they're ending up bringing. Get a counter pull here, and look at the fill here with Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell. So you get the scrape over top with the puller. So Jack Campbell fills, he steps into his gap. Watch between Brian Branch, who's setting the edge, but he's also getting pinned down on this play, so he fights to get back outside. I appreciate that from Branch. But as he's getting pinned down, Alex says, okay, I'm going to step outside. So you get 2 guys that are on the same page, which is the wrong page, and both of them jump outside. Now you open this big lane for boom, gash, and we're hit for a big run. That's just little things that need to be cleaned up. It's kind of an unfortunate circumstance, but it needs to be cleaned up. Here's Aleem McNeil on the backside, right? They're going outside zone. Reader gets upfield, but look at the backside. We're getting nothing on the backside here. You have Lacey who's dealing with the zone read, who they took off with it once, and there's nothing happening on the backside here. Now, you could say maybe more athletic at edge would help us. It's part of the reason, too, why when you talk about, okay, trades, they could look for an edge. And I think the biggest reason they could do it is because right now they're giving Lacey a lot of snaps. And that's not even to say Lacey played bad. I think Lacey played fine in this game, right? He's not an overwhelming rusher, but I thought he was fine. But the point is you're taking a lot of snaps away from Muhammad unless teams are passing, and Lacey's kind of your base down defensive end. And if the Lions don't want to do that anymore, they could go make an aggressive trade for a defensive end. It's on the table. But this time, this is just one of those where I'm like, it's fine. I like Aleem, but this has to be better inside the ball. And you can see that linebacker cross blitz was absolutely killing us offensively. You can see the problems that it was creating for us offensively in this game. And here we get this sack. They go cover 3 blitz. They cross with both of these guys here. And you can see as the guards step out, it was a smart blitz plan by them, but they occupy our center. Our guards step out to give help. And because they delay it and are coming from so far off, we don't account for these guys. Now, look, they're 4 or 5 yards off the line. So typically you may think that's fair to not account for them. And obviously Jahmyr Gibbs is going to pick up the first guy through. So this play, the ball should be out. Like if I'm Goff here, I think he sets his eyes wrong. They get too deep and they roll into a cover 3 and he's looking back. And I like the stacks. We talked about that coming in. I would stack routes to try to create spacing. I think this is where they changed up their approach because they weren't sitting in just quarters all game. They did a lot of cover 3. So they covered up some of the stuff well, and it would have forced Goff to hit the backside to Brock here. He should have did that and he didn't. Good thing is we end up getting out of this hole. And again, this was one of the better plays we made. So we actually did some things in some really bad spots. Again, watch though, Minnesota doesn't blitz. I think that was a huge part here, right? They put 5 on the line and they end up dropping 1 out. So we pick it up. Running back finally gets to release. But in a play like this, they get this deep in-breaker, which is kind of a dagger setup on this play, but they go to this 2-man look defensively. Goff makes a good throw, hits St. Brown. This was beautiful. To get yourself out of a really bad spot on the 3rd and long, this is a beautiful way to do that. It's beautiful execution here. Hey, man, Gibbs, I want to see him press the line of scrimmage. Like, it just felt like there's a lot of dancing here for Gibbs. And I think it's been one of my biggest knocks for him in the past. Like, there's times where he feels like he's dancing a bit. I felt that in this game, right? Everybody's kind of matched up here. Everybody's pretty much walled up. It's like, yo, hit the hole. And he just feels like he's dancing off of leverage. He feels the nose tackle leverage, so then he bounces, and he feels the leverage, and he slides back up. And when he cuts back upfield, he doesn't get upfield. He then bounces away from the linebacker, kind of runs into his own blocker. It's like, I understand that leverage-wise, maybe this isn't the cleanest thing here because you're trying to play inside out and on the backside. If you're looking at Tate here, he's not sealing this thing off, which is a big problem. But I also would rather just see him press it, go off that hip of Tate Ratledge and just see what we can get here. He's kind of dancing a bit. And again, we're picking up 2 yards instead of 4. If we picked up 4, the game feels different. We're picking up 2 yards. It's not enough. We have to have more yards on first down. I think that plays into it. And then again, Minnesota's very smart doing this. Bringing that linebacker, forcing our running back to pass protect, splitting us out because obviously our guards and our centers are assigned here. So Center has the 1 tech, the guard has the 3. Those guys have to help. It splits the middle of the field. Now all of a sudden, a running back has to pick up on this play, and this is just not a great pickup here from Gibbs. And obviously, it turns into Goff under pressure and basically just throwing the ball away. So it was a smart plan for them. We need to have a better answer for that, especially next time we see this team. I got to assume going forward, a lot of teams are going to do this. Some of the schematics, someone's offensive line. The Lions are typically really good against the blitz. They were not good. They felt terrible when they were blitzed in this game. Offensive line changes this year that plays into it, but typically we're really good in that spot. We look terrible in this game. Here again, dealing with a stunt here, inside-out stunt. We get a chip this time from Laporta, which is good. We have both tight ends in to help us. We got the running back in. So this felt good across the board. Okay, we got the numbers, so they bail. Awesome. You got it. And then you don't pick up a stunt here with Christian Mahogany, and now Goff all of a sudden having to slip a block and just find a way to get out. He makes a play here. But this is the kind of thing where it's like, look, man, we're where we need to be. We got to pick this up. We have to pick this up, and obviously Monty's going to leave too, which is why this play ended up working, because he's not getting an extra rusher on the play. So ultimately, this is the kind of thing where it's like, Mahogany's hurt. I hope he's okay, but it's worth making a call. I mean, KO might be better there. I don't know. But the point is like, this is the guy that needed to grow this offseason. He didn't have a lot of true pass pro sets, and right now it's just been too inconsistent for Mahogany. And I don't want to, like, hate on him because I hate that he's injured right now. But it is an area that definitely needs growth. I think it's fair to say going forward we need a lot of growth here from Mahogany to continue being a starter for this Lions offense. And this season, it was kind of the first experience to see what does it look like in true pass pro. That was always my holdback with him. It's like we didn't really get it last year. This year we're getting it, and it's just not as consistent as we needed to be. Did like the aggressive nature. I mean, I love the cover 3 defensively. I didn't think they would do it, to be honest, as much as they did. But we talked about coming in. I was like, I think cover 3 is the best coverage. It's been the most successful. And Kelvin Shepard was fearless to do it. He was like, let's do it. Now, it gave us, we got beat a couple times, but they were aggressive to do it. And again, the man coverage was awesome. Here, I give a lot of credit to TA. TA played a heck of a football game. Here's sitting outside leverage, staying outside on the receiver's hip, doesn't allow this to get open. Then Lacey here, who tracks this thing down, he's playing hard. I like how Lacey is playing. And in this play, like, this is really good. Very good coverage 3 defense from the Lions here. Let's go back to the offensive side of the ball, though, again, where we just don't get anything going on the ground game. If this thing holds, we may have something here, but we end up having nothing on this rushing play. Get this double team, and again, they're slanting here because this is what they'll do, slanting down their gaps. So they slant their gaps. They go from A to B gap. So now all of a sudden you got to pick up. You got to be quick reactive here with Christian Mahogany. He already has stepped inside, so he's already a step behind here. And then when he tries to combo, this is a horrible entry from Mahogany on this combo block. So he allows them to split up field. This shuts down the run before it gets started. Look elsewhere. This thing looks like it's going to pop. And this was my scheme. I like getting downhill. I like the inside zones. That was my key. That's why I thought it would be a Monty game. So like inside zone, maybe some toss stretch plays. Those were the 2 runs I want to see us do. And you can see like, oh, this is going to pop. And it doesn't because one thing goes wrong, movement up front, we're late to react, nothing happens. It's why I bring up Zeitler, because you get a vet in here that's seen these things. Maybe it gives you some help because it doesn't feel like we even need an overwhelming blocker. Christian Mahogany can move guys. But it's just like, we're not even doing enough. Like, we're not doing – if we could just get baseline at some of these, we could pop and we could lean on our strength. We're not getting baseline. We're getting just breakdowns. And this is this thing going into when we went into the bye week that I talked about, when we came out of the bye week, and I was like, hey, things need to change offensive lineman growth. If you didn't see that, check it out because it fits really well today. He was like, look, we can move guys. We see the athleticism. There's some great reps here. But we have way too many just immediate losses. And there's too many immediate losses. It's not letting anything get off the ground. And it's not giving our running backs really a chance to get off the ground in a lot of these instances as well. This was the ugliest play of the game for me. We were essentially cool with the fact that we didn't have a guy to block here. Again, Harrison Smith starts off. Here comes the motion. And I didn't think we saw Harrison Smith well enough in this game. Like, it clearly was not a good enough priority because, again, look at this. They have 7 guys. We have 6. We can't block this. So you need a hot to go to. There's seemingly no hot read at all unless it's the flat to Saint, and that's where we throw it. And I guess that makes sense here. Like, it could have worked. Maybe you thought, hey, they were in cover 0 when Byron Murphy is carrying across, but then they rotate into cover 3. It's a good disguise. It's probably why this wasn't open, because if it is cover 0, you hit this flat, you may have a chance to get out and get the first down. But they go cover 3, so you need a hot read. He knocks it down at the line of scrimmage, and it's just disappointing. From Goff's perspective, he's going right to the hot, which is the flat here. Obviously, if he hits Laporta, that's probably the first down on this play. So it's just disappointing. And this is probably the other big schematic element that I thought changed is we just didn't get a lot of man from them defensively. Like, we had talked about how second and short or third down situations, they would lean a lot heavier man. They didn't really do that. So for us, we didn't really get to lean into like pick plays or, okay, we know where this is going to be, so we're going to open up. And then when they did, obviously we found some. I hear all this talk, oh man, too many screens, this and that. There were, I don't want to say, the issue to me was just too many screens. Like, we executed like absolute trash on pretty much every screen. Now, we had a successful one early for Sam Laporta, but man, it was like, dude, what are we doing? And some of them was them, right? We'll see Andrew Van Ginkel blew up one. That should have been a first down. He blows it up. This is one where it's like you're watching this. This should work. When a defense goes Tampa 2, this should pop. This is a disaster. This is a great spot to run a screen. They're bailing out on the play. You get the short, fast motion by Kalif Raymond. He ends up chipping down Andrew Van Ginkel. He's on the ground. Oh, hey, man, we're set up here, dude. Everybody's bailed. We hit the screen. We're out. What is Jahmyr Gibbs doing? I'm watching this like, Gibbs, what are we doing here? Bro, just get out. He sees that the defensive end fell, and he tries to hurdle him. Like, bro, if you just get away from him, we got a chance to set this thing up. He tries to hurdle him, slows the play way down. By time Goff is looking at him, the dude's in the air jumping over a guy, so Goff's like waiting. Then he gets back on the ground, he flips it to him, and he makes the tackle. It's like, Gibbs, just get out. Like, that was just a bad decision by Gibbs to try to jump over the guy that's laying on the ground. If he just wraps outside of him, we're popping that. Just poor execution. Just poor execution, man, across the board. And this was the issue, man, just little things like this. Again, this time, I don't think Goff even saw Harrison Smith, right? So last time, at least, we had a hot that seemingly he was trying to get to, which was a quick flat. This time, I don't even think he saw Harrison Smith, right? Because he's off the line. Then they walk up to the line of scrimmage. It's up Josh Metellus here as they walk up to the scrimmage. So, again, Gibbs is going to step in and take that. We're overwhelmed. They got 7-on-6, right? We're not using really anybody to give us support. You have a receiver, St. Brown, who's close to the line to squeeze it in, but there's no extra body here. So you're not doing anything to actually block this up if Harrison Smith goes. And he goes. And I don't think we even anticipated that Harrison Smith was going to come because if you look at Goff, he doesn't move at all. Goff typically, if he expects a blitzer, he's going to slide away from it. He doesn't slide at all. He just drops straight back. He sees Smith. He's like, oh, snap. Now, Gibbs does a good job of resetting here. You're giving yourself no chance. And again, if Goff does slide aggressively enough left and he felt Smith, I think we probably picked this up because he would have slid left immediately. Gibbs could have probably gave us some help when Josh Metellus dropped out, and we could have hit something here. He doesn't. I don't think he anticipated this, that he was rushing on this play. Didn't even see him, and it turned into that. And that's what all that movement, I guess, can do to you. Now, again, positives defensively. Cover one was good. Brian Branch here, really nice job in the slot. On the slot fade, covers it up well. Again, our run game is just not popping at all. Here at Tate Ratledge, this time reach blocking. He can't get any kind of leverage, so he continues to spill out. Mahogany's creating some movement on the front side here, and you can see again, it's like, hey, stick your foot in the round and get upfield, and I got Gibbs dancing. It's like a break down a little bit. Like, no, bro, just go. This is partly the thing where I was like, okay, Vaki needs some looks here because at very least where we are now, we can't dance as much as we are. We got to go. And it's what's killing Montgomery, too, is because, well, it did because he couldn't get behind out of the line of scrimmage because things were blowing up in the backfield. So Gibbs has been effective because he can make a first guy miss. Well, shoot, now he's dancing. We got nothing. This was the screen. Again, this one's there. Van Ginkel, I give him credit. He makes a good play here because he spills outside into Gibbs, and it ends up slowing down this play. We have the blocks to do this if we can here. We can get outside of the linebacker here. We can make it a one-on-one with the defensive back. We can go. But you end up not getting it as Andrew Van Ginkel slows the entire thing down. So, again, to me, like, you know, I can be sad, like, oh, man, we're running too many screens. We executed like garbage. I mean, just straight garbage. I'm more upset about the fact that we didn't seemingly were prepared enough for Harrison Smith, and we didn't get prepared fast enough for that. We were just okay with letting our running back deal with a blitzing linebacker, which was a mess. It was, you know, it just took one or two, and it looks like a mess. So it was a mess. We did not allow that to destroy us in this game, and we kind of did let it happen. No run game for just different reasons across the board. Here's the one that could pop, pin, pull. This is a great play call, right? They want to stack the line. You want to put both linebackers in an A gap here. Great. We're going to pin, pull, get outside. Monty, he almost didn't catch this. He's bobbling it. Then by the time he gets upfield, he's got blocks. I mean, he's got all the room in the world. And having Monty in there, I think, really sold it because if it's Gibbs, you may expect this. For Monty, he's like, all right, he ain't getting it. He gets it, and he fumbles. And that would have been a run. That would have been a first down from a 3rd down and 12. So that was a good look. And then again, offensively here, now this was the play where I didn't think Goff saw the field at all. I don't know what he was looking at here. I have no idea. This is a cover 3. You've got to hit that quick flat to Gibbs. He doesn't throw it. I guess because he's a running back, he's not a primary read. One thing we talked about coming out of the bye was like, hey, I'd like to use Gibbs a little bit. It's kind of like a passing option, like a receiver. Well, they finally did, but I said that as like, hey, make him a legitimate read on the play. It doesn't even look like Goff intended to make him a primary read here. He didn't look at there at all. He's going immediately to St. Brown. He doesn't like that, so now you'd have to come back to Laporta. If you just fire this out to Gibbs based on the coverage, this is fine. Get ourselves out of that hole. We still ended up getting out of that hole offensively. Back to the offensive side again here, and this is where they started to find a rhythm. The play action, they started to move the line of scrimmage. It did help. It slowed down a lot of this rush, so getting to this was effective. It still didn't make it perfect. Again, I'm not sure what the heck Mahogany's doing on this play, but it did enough. It did enough here to get the ball out quickly. Goff delivered a good ball here. He had some really good throws on this stretch. The toss zone here, it's just the dancing is driving me nuts watching this whole thing. I would also say another change. Find a different jumbo offensive lineman. Like, I like Dan Skipper as a backup tackle. Dude should not be our jumbo lineman. Like, this wasn't a bad rep, though. Tristan Colon, someone else I think needs to get looks there. I just think it's just not good enough. Like, he comes in at the goal line, it just completely blown up, loss of 2. It's like, dude, find someone else. He's never been a good jumbo O lineman. I understand he catches ball and it's fun. Get somebody else in there. Just do it. Get somebody else in there. Give somebody else a look at it. I like him as a backup tackle. No have issues with that. That said, here we go to this toss zone again. Look, Mahogany on the front side doing his thing. You have Graham Glasgow trying to seal. I'd like to see this be better from Ratledge. You have Dan Skipper that's trying to climb here, doesn't really, so he seals off the block here. And again, as Gibbs cuts, now it kind of falls into nothing. But if he just puts his foot in the ground and gets upfield, maybe we have something there. But he's trying to play and string this thing out. I get it, and it ends up turning into nothing here. It just takes a little bit, but all this athleticism just. I feel like with all the athleticism, one thing that should have been noted to our running backs, just be decisive and go. You can't bounce. There's too much movement happening. It's too hard for us to anticipate where blocks are going to be. So you just got to go when you see it. And it felt like we played this like a normal defense, and they're not. They're too aggressive for that, and it led to issues. And then here again, Gibbs did a lot of good aggressively picking up these blocks, but you just keep putting him in that spot. You're asking yourself for problems when Ivan Pace is a great blitzer, which is literally what Dan Campbell told us before the game, and yet we kind of allow this to just happen. And clearly there are a lot of just self-inflicted wounds we haven't even talked about. I do like where Goff's eyes, though, were here, right? Because we knew coming in, if they play man, we got to find things outside the numbers because they give a lot of support inside. The 2 rat looks like this. They give a lot of support. So for Goff's eyes to immediately go to the deep out to JMO, I love that. It's good vision. It's a good feel for the game, understanding what they're trying to do. We just couldn't get to it, but it was there. It's just we have to be able to get to these things. We have to do our job, and it only takes one to be the issue. In here because there's a lot of things that we haven't even touched on that were issues. Obviously, the blocked field goal, and that's why that last drive was so disappointing to end like that and end so abruptly, where you get a 4-yard run, you end up getting a defender that slashes through, Skipper misses the block, so he gets slid out for only 4 yards. Like, that could have popped, but Skipper doesn't block anybody, so now it's 4 yards. Then, of course, the sack, it's one guy, and JMO probably didn't get open anyway, but it's those kind of issues that shut down that drive, and they were just like little things. Every time it was one different guy. Someone else just took a turn making a mistake, and that drive not finishing, and then you have to kick a field goal, and then you get the field goal blocked, which is a disaster. We're not talking about any of the pre-snap penalties to happen if guys are shifting at the same time. Like, yeah, you can't do that. Multiple false starts. Brock Wright's like, why we have false starts at home? We still have those. Those can't happen. You're not talking about any of those issues as well. And in this game, of course, just the lack of execution, right? Collie Freeman missed on a drag. That was a good first down look for us. We saw it during the game, so I wasn't going to point it out, but I mean, it was obvious. It was the first down. We got the right look for it, and Goff just completely missed it. It was a weird throw that he made. He kind of just threw it in front of him. That's incomplete pass. Now all of a sudden it's 2nd and 10. A lack of first down efficiency. A St. Brown where Mahogany gets beat. Now the pressure's in Goff's face. Puts it a little bit in front. Now it's an incomplete pass. That's another one. Jamison Williams makes a great play to keep the drive alive, right? Makes a deep curl route. Separates after the catch is beautiful. The very next play, we run a drag. He's wide open. He drops it. It's like if we get 4 yards on first down, we're fine. We're either getting 2, 0, or it's a negative. That's what it felt like all game long. That just can't happen. The priorities for me would be, number 1, make some calls on an offensive lineman. Number 2, you can go get an edge because while it's not like, hey, we need it, like first off, Jalen Phillips got traded today. Elquani Muhammad brings us more than enough, I think, for what Jalen Phillips would have brought us as a rusher. More than enough, especially as an interior piece. I'm perfectly fine with Elquani Muhammad. I feel really good about him. So I actually have no issue with that at all. I think he brings more than enough. So if you're going to do it, go get a dog or get someone that probably can help you against the run that maybe brings some more athleticism to this so you don't have to rotate as much with your DNs. That could be valuable here. If you want to stop playing Lacey so much, because clearly that's how they feel about it, get somebody else that can handle that responsibility. Phillips, I'm perfectly cool with not making that move. And Muhammad, I continue to like him a lot as a pass rusher. At that point, if the Lions were trying to look at what they needed, if they wanted to go defense back again, of course, you could get some depth at safety, maybe some flexibility there, depending on what Kirby Joseph's injury and how serious this is. But also you could look at a slot or a guy that can play in the nickel. Maybe you don't want to go overboard with this because you should get DJ Reed back at some point, but you could just say, hey, we're going to make a strength even stronger. Let's really lock into what we have there and lean into this because Terrion played well, Meek's playing well. Let's get a dog in the nickel right now. Let's get somebody that can do that and just upgrade us a little bit over Mollett. I'm fine with Mollett, but that could be an area where you're just like, let's just make a strength even stronger and lean into that defensively. Say they made 2 trades, and then we make a call for an offensive guard. Like, I think that would be a perfect trade deadline if you could pull that off. But to be honest, they'll probably at most make 1 move. Right? At most, they'll make 1 move. And my first call would be for Zeitler. That first call would be there. And then after that, I think the other 2, you can make a case for it. Depends where they're at with DN, but I think maybe you can consider a nickel as well. Pass rush was good for the most part. More Tyleek. Coverage is really strong. Offensively, I don't know what we're doing. Offensive line, it's got to be better. It's like we've been really good against the blitz. We look like trash in this game. Things in there where it's just like we are overlooking, I think, some of these issues. We're overlooking Harrison Smith clearly. We're overlooking putting our linebacker on a running back all the time. We're overlooking our having these running backs play clearly because they're not decisive enough, and we need to get some other guys to snap. There was just a lot of ugly. It's got to be cleaner. A lot of this was their own doing, but this can get better. This can get a lot better. But it was messy in this game. I'm gonna leave it there. I appreciate y'all joining. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So that's kind of my priority order. Offensive line, make some calls. Then you can go D end. Then if you want to go DB, that's fine. But I think that's got to be the list for them at this point. Appreciate y'all watching. Thank you, Prep, for watching.